can hear
Welcome
you.
to episode 36 of Peace Talk. This is the Peace Dealer, and this episode we have a very, very special guest. How are you, Larisa?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very great. I actually met you, and for those who know, I met Larisa at the Leo Kings convention this past month. To episode 36. Very enlightening. Sorry. Oh shit.
Yes, we did. It was a really good show. I enjoyed it.
Yes.
And then you moved.
Yes.
And then you moved to it. You loved it that much that you moved there.
It was just such a life-changing experience for me. I had to ride that wave before the karmic portal closed.
Well, absolutely. Well, your chart does have that ability to actually know the perfect timing to do things. So, I think that's wonderful that you took advantage of that.
And for those who don't know it, what is your sun, moon, and rising?
My moon is in Cancer, my sun is in Aries, and I'm the Sagittarius rising.
Interesting. How do you feel the effects of Saturn on your rising right now?
Well, I don't think my mom has ever told me what to do. She's been very encouraging about me being myself. So I don't think I've ever heard people tell me what to do so much, which I think is good. I mean, it's structuring myself to allow me to become more mature and to actually perhaps become an adult at the age of 37. But
yeah.
But I do feel like every turn that I take, I'm being guided, but perhaps at times not in the most positive way.
All right. I think when I want to make sure I heard you right, you were saying you feel like more people are not telling you what to do nowadays, or the opposite? Was it the opposite way?
No, it's the opposite. I think it's the opposite. I mean, my mom, I told my mom I'm moving like 4 or 5 years ago. I said I'm moving to the UK, and she was like, "Okay, go explore," And right now, I feel like I'm limited and restricted. Commitment to take. And I find a lot of individuals are guiding, perhaps some positive, some negative, in the right direction.
Okay. And then how do you also feel about the T-square on your moon? And then also as an Aries, that's definitely very challenging.
Pardon, say that again. It's a T-square to my moon right now. No, I don't think it is a T-square to my moon, is it?
No, I didn't word that right. What I meant to say is how does your Cancer moon feel with the T-square from Jupiter and Uranus and Pluto, but then how do you also feel as an Aries sun with that same energy too? I
believe I'm kind of used to the Pluto energy. I have sun opposite Pluto in my chart.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now, though, I'm learning to actually empower myself as opposed to just being overpowered by other people.
Okay.
I have Pluto forming a T-square with my natal Pluto and my natal sun right now. This is right there. So it's a little challenging, to say the least.
I bet.
But believe me, nothing compares to the total lunar eclipse. That was quite intense, but it was fun. I mean, I think I really learned who I was.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. So, I also noticed you have an active YouTube channel and your Instagram is popping too. How long ago did you start that? And could you tell us more about that?
I believe I started it probably 5, but I worked jobs throughout doing that. So it's been a bit challenging to keep it going like all the time, but I think I've done my best, you know. And the Instagram, I think it only really started when I moved back to Canada in full with the astrology. I love doing YouTube videos. I enjoy it, but I'm reformatting my videos right now to make it easier for people to listen to watch, and to actually interact with. Yeah.
Cool. What would you say got you on this path?
Well, I know the astrology trend. Well, my father got me on this path. He was very spiritual. My grandmother, you know, I have a history of in my family. My grandmother being the ultimate psychic. My dad was very spiritual. He studied astrology, but I don't think it was to the depth that perhaps I have at this stage. Right. When my Saturn stationed direct is when I actually started formally studying astrology, and then I moved to the UK to actually study more.
Yeah. We still hear you.
Okay, I think that what inspired me? Well, it definitely was my family, you know, into
That's
the occult knowledge. I mean, I know that it's part of your history as well, though, which I find fascinating. That you have that as like.
Oh no, I wasn't trying to interrupt. I was gonna. That was interesting that you mentioned. But to complement what you said before, what's so important about learning the occult, I feel, is having it ingrained from your family. That you kind of helped me understand how the 8th house of occult and the 12th house of higher mysteries, you need that 4th house family, you know, encouragement to really get you into it. Because of course, if you're blocked, you're not going to really.
They encouraged me to read about it. You know, I don't think my mom was ever too, you know, me actually working in the field. You know, okay. I think there was like. My grandmother didn't work in the field. My father didn't work in the field, and I think in the field, and I think it still is. You know, I think there's still individuals who are scared of that type of information. Like I have given people that I work with because they, you know, claim that they've been interested in it, and they've become scared and thought that I was crazy. You know.
Yeah.
So. I mean, there's still that sort of interaction with people, I find.
I'm interested in the certification you got for astrology. Could you talk more about that, and how do you feel it's helped you understand astrology more than the amateur interpreter?
Well, I feel like I know more than the average interpreter. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I ever feel like I know more than others.
Well, as far as at least like technique, because I'm pretty sure because at least being certified, there's I'm not saying this isn't because you're certified, but there's a very clear, concise way you talk about the transits, like you know what you're talking about. And I know that has come in large portion from your own self-study, but I'm also very interested in what did you feel about the program, more or less? Like,
what did I feel about the program? I studied a lot, and when I took the 3 first exams and passed them, pretty much all around the same time. I mean, I've studied since I was 9, so obviously I wasn't studying, you know, progress, but
okay.
I definitely, like, when I passed all of them, I thought, wow, okay, maybe I do know something. Maybe I have taught myself something. Now, I'm not saying that the teacher that Allison Price in Oakville didn't teach me well. She was an excellent teacher, and she was in Oakville, so that's where I took the courses. And then I also moved to the UK, and David Kenny, I took classes with him. Frank Clifford, I went to a lot of his workshops. I've attended a lot of workshops in Toronto. I mean, I went to the Leo King event, you know.
Oh, okay.
Vegas, a lot of people do.
No, I still got you. I can hear you.
Yeah?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, good. So, I mean, anywhere I go, if there's a course that I'm interested in, I pretty much take it. I mean, that's something that I've learned. If ever there's a course that you want to take, you always take it, is what has been instilled in me, you know?
Yeah. And that's very Sagittarius rising, like that desire to take knowledge and like explore.
Like occult knowledge, you know. I'm not taking gardening courses here. I'm taking like astrology and, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
You know.
Indeed. Could you speak more? I know you were starting to talk about my ancestry until.
I know, I'm really fascinated about that because I know that Amy, right? The last episode that you had, you went into detail a little bit about that. I'd love to know more about how all of that, like your grandmother, your lineage. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, I actually haven't. I realized I haven't gone into the length about that. Jupiter was transiting my 4th house, so that transit for the first time in my life helped me understand a facet of it. You know, there's still more to get, but honestly, what I shared there was I made it all up. I made it all up. No, it's as much as I really know that. So like there's more I could share as far as the differences of opinion, like between what current family members think now and as opposed to what they thought back then. But yeah, that's kind of, I kind of shared everything back then as far as my gist of it now. Like,
well, what did your grandmother do? What were her skills? You know, she obviously was psychic. She was like in the clairs, clairvoyant, clair. You know.
But, okay. Oh, okay. Well, okay. That's see. It's not like it's not like she ever necessarily would practice them, but the only account I would have is like my dad. He's a Virgo moon. He's also Aries. He's very skeptical about stuff like this, but he would recount how like when he was a kid, his mom would my grandma would tell him stuff, tell him to be careful about doing certain stuff, and like everything she said would happen to the detail, like beware of this or something like that. So it was natural, and in her, even she'd learn certain stuff even close to when she died about stuff that would happen in the family. People would think she had dementia and stuff, but she'd just suddenly like know what's going around, even though they're not telling her. But other than that, she had rejected that power instead of practicing it, right? So.
And how does that make you feel, though? Like, obviously, that's something that you have. I think yeah. How does that make you feel, though? I mean, that's obviously knowledge that you wanted to learn from her in particular.
It's a very good question. It's a very good question. It's conflicted in a sense because this is that kind of. I see it as like wasted potential. To be honest, I don't mean to be disrespectful. I think maybe when I'm older, I may realize, no, she was probably right. I'm still young enough to feel like, I don't know. I feel like
I'm practicing like magic. I mean, that's something I was always given the option of like anything occult. So we go to the bookstore and it would be like magic books or like astrology or psychic development, reading about it, learning about it, and I've never touched the magic book. So I think that's where people need to stay away from. I've known a lot of people, particularly in the UK, I thought my gifts would be accepted. I thought people would like embrace them like there's no tomorrow, and even astrology for that sake. But people see that type of work as witch work.
Yeah.
And I find that so bizarre.
Yeah. And let me rephrase, like, I don't mean to say my grandma's life was wasted potential. I just mean the whole lineage, the whole ancestral karma of that, because it didn't start with her. You know what I mean? Like it carried out. What I was gonna say also was my dad has told me as a result of all that stuff that I should keep away. He's not forcing me, but his advice is I would stay away from the occult, because when people in our family do that, they get psychotic and they start getting, you know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, I feel like no, it's a, you know, it's dealing with, everyone has their own experiences, but yeah. So oh my bad.
If you're gonna want to go and have a spiritual experience, I wouldn't be doing like peyote or like, I don't even think it's called ashwagandha. I think I said that wrong.
DMT.
You know that drug that's going around now where everybody needs to like awaken something, so they do like the most horrible drugs that rewire their brains. You know what I'm talking about?
DMT, peyote.
Those types of things I wouldn't do if I were you.
Really?
That's where,
the
you know,
ayahuascas, the ones that really disassociate.
Ayahuasca,
right?
that's what it's called. I don't know what I've been calling it, but I've been calling it like a nickname, you know. I know people who've done it. I mean, I don't see doing anything like that. You know, I think it's really, if you're saying that people in your family have had issues with going, you know, not knowing where to stop, where the illusion is and where the actual reality is, then I wouldn't be doing something that's rewiring your brain to actually, because you're going to repattern it in a way, right? I mean, that's basically what it does. It shows you areas that have a block, darkest aspects of yourself, because you're seeing the block that you need to actually break through. So if you break through it and then you see, like, you know, I don't know. I wouldn't do it either. I'm just giving you some tips. That's all.
You're saying if I come across it, it's not worth it to do it, right? Like at the moment.
Are you thinking of doing it?
No. I mean, I've been told people's experiences of it. I feel like it's something that if it should come around and I'm at the right place at the right time, then I'll do it, because it's just like natural. But I'm not really gonna necessarily seek it out or look for it right now.
So if you do that, then make sure to send me a message on Facebook, and I'll talk you through it. Because it's honestly, like, I've seen, I don't know, I just don't think.
You find your spirit animal and all that shit. It's crazy.
Yeah, well,
you have to do it right though.
So what, your spirit animal. We don't need to do anyway. I mean, I'm not like bashing people who do whatever they want. I mean, a good friend of mine who's done it, but hasn't touched anything in her entire life, has done that, and it was like, it's almost like the first time you do shrooms. It's always like the happiest thing, and then you do it, you know, too many times.
Yeah.
It's like a full dose of whatever they're giving you with that.
That's true.
Stuff. Things don't go so right, you know.
Yeah. No, I do agree. There should be caution at the very.
I think there's a lot of. I sound like such an old person right now. Oh my god! But I just think there's a lot of people. I've heard ingredient things going on in the world at the moment. I mean, even in our food, it's not just that people are, you know, anyway, I mean, I'm not going to get into that. I know nothing about it at this stage, but I just think things are very harsh for individuals right now, and I think there's too many chemicals and too many things, you know?
Yeah.
And unless you're going, you know, like, down to Peru to do it with like a real shaman, you actually shaman abilities, you know. Like one of the questions I wanted to ask you was what type of healer you thought you are, or what type of healer you are, you know, because you have like huge potential for that. That's
a good question. Yeah, Primarily right now, and I'm very much so a mental healer. I like to say the right words to trigger the right feelings within someone or to bring clarity. But I feel myself, my progressed sun is right now on my Jupiter. So I really feel myself getting called to that deeper emotional healing where I can be filled with empathy, even though I have a Capricorn moon, but I can still like hold
Yeah.
space.
How is a Capricorn moon? Like, you know, I mean, our moons are in opposition, like exactly in opposition.
Yeah.
So me trying to figure out a Capricorn moon is like, why would you not say anything? You know, why the moon conjunct Jupiter too? It's kind of like, why wouldn't you share that? You know?
Yeah. And it's completely so opposite because I'm like,
opposite. Yeah.
why would you? I'm thinking the complete opposite question. Like, why? I can't conceive. I mean, I can conceive why, but it's like, why? Is it worth it?
Well, I guess, is there people in particular? I mean, you have it in the ninth house too, right?
Yeah.
Is it only like a professional that you would speak to? Or only the people?
That can do what?
That you would actually communicate your feelings with.
Oh.
You know? I mean, you have to release it at some point. And I'm not going to get into this too much because I'll just start going on about it. But, you know, if your sun's conjunct Jupiter, your third house is a Cancer cusp, you're going to be forced to.
Yeah. That's been my problem.
You know?
Yeah. And the issue has been me, instead of releasing it, I just hold it in the Capricorn. But the ninth house lets me release it, I guess, to God or the light or whatever. And I get to philosophize my emotions away instead of actually feel them. So it's just gravy.
Yeah, okay. It's nice when you can do that. It's nice when things are that free that you can do that, I guess.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, I used to be able to do that.
Well, Pluto's gonna mow over my moon, so if there is anything released, I'm gonna eventually have to let go. But until then, I just really, I almost create. I think there's this like melancholic energy to Capricorn that when the moon is there, we kind of crave. Like we don't like being depressed, but we can like stay in a depressed feeling and just kind of like. It doesn't feel good, but we can kind of like, it's not like we're letting it get the best of us. We kind of like sit there. It's like an Eeyore feeling, but it kind of feels good. It's so weird. You know?
What's an Eeyore?
Oh, my bad. Eeyore, like from Winnie the Pooh, who's just like always depressed. And the melancholic Capricorn stack stuff to just be depressed about, that's just like not even depressed, but it's weird. It's like, it's not, I think because I have the Gemini, like I can just disassociate and like detach and call it for what it is. But like sometimes I'll just sit in that heaviness because there's like some solace there. And I know I'm not truly depressed. I know what I'm depressed about isn't really that important, but I'll just kind of like stay at that heavy. I feel like you have to be like a score. I feel like you as a Cancer moon.
I know my moon and Jupiter are in the 8th to. I mean, I think a lot of people take me as depressed. Meanwhile, I'm probably like the first one to laugh. You know,
yeah.
Or I come across rooting for the underdog all the time, or people that have flagged behind perhaps with like adjusting to their emotional well-being, you know? And I find that a lot of my posts that with Instagram, it's not exactly me where I'm situated. I'm reading the pulse of like the audience, right? So I'm kind of like sliding it to the scale that they need to see it for the day, and that's the general audience. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean, I don't think sometimes, you know, you need to encourage people out of a lot more, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
And the thing with my Cancer moon in the 8th house is that I do pick up on, like, I mean, there's like 2 grand trines there. I pick up on people's energy,
Very
like,
well.
no, you know?
Very well. Very well. I've experienced this firsthand. Definitely.
Yeah.
You're the real deal.
Yeah, with my poster meeting in person.
What?
When did you experience that exactly?
When we had spoken about our charts a little, I was reading your tarot cards, and you were just kind of like,
oh, that's right. Yes.
yeah. The way you were responding, it's as if you already knew how I felt, which was like, oh wow, you're in tune. I didn't have to tell you.
Wow. Yeah, I am, but sometimes I'm just not even aware of it. I mean, let's just be honest. You know what I mean? What are you reading?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I pick up on people's emotions so much that like, I always need time to kind of like take a step back and process.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that?
And I guess
I was gonna say that's a great way to explain the square, because Aries needs that space. You know, the water can like dampen your fire, I'd imagine. So
the square between the moon and my
your sun, yeah, the moon and your sun.
yeah, the moon. True. Yeah, I have to separate how I feel in relation to what I actually want to do or what I'm doing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're supposed to be your sun signs, though, right? I mean, we're not supposed to kind of like dwell in the other houses, I guess, or the other signs. But yeah. I don't know. I think it comes very natural to people to be their sun sign, but perhaps, you know, I don't know. What are you doing?
All right, so now we're gonna play a game we always play, where we ask each other 3 questions.
Okay.
Back and forth, and we start with you.
Okay. Well, what is your view on shamanism, other dimensions, other realities? Like, what have you experienced so far? If we're speaking about spirituality. I'm curious because I mean, you do have Neptune and okay, whatever, Neptune and Uranus in your 8th house, but you also have Pluto trine Chiron, which indicates that you definitely have a karma, or the karma and the knowledge of a shaman.
The karma ended as what?
And the knowledge of a shaman.
Wow.
Like, it's in your chart, right? And it's forming the mystic rectangle that we discussed, forming that up.
Yeah. I feel like shamanism is that's a very great question. I feel like shamanism is it's something that calls out to me. I feel it's very Taurus in spiritual essence, but I don't know
how do you think that shamanism is the Taurus though?
Maybe
like that's
maybe there are different facets of it, but with shamanism, I just get that whole natural vibe. Like it's all very herbs and very tapped into the earth, where they get the source and start to interact with those forces. So that's kind of what shamanism feels like to me. Like as far as outside of shamanism, I'm wanting to connect with nature, but more so the elements. I'm really starting to resonate with those much more and see how I can incorporate that into what I do and be more aware.
I would be doing the elements. I'd be doing more occult, and I'd be doing something that relates more to the water element. There's a great healing potential in anything related to water. It could simply be emotions. It could be all of that. And that's actually where a lot of your money is going to come from.
It's funny that you say that, because Chris Witecki said the exact same thing. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I didn't get it when he said it at first. But now that you bring it up, it makes a lot more sense, because he was saying that especially with that water energy, a big issue I have is I'm supposed to express how I feel, but instead I hold it in. And so I haven't been developing the water like I should. I kind of just disregard it because I have the Capricorn. So it's like, I don't think I need it, but
Well,
you're absolutely right.
It's not that you don't feel. The Capricorn share it, you know, so perhaps sharing it to yourself and expressing your emotions or expressing, I don't know. I mean, I think I see magic actually when I look at like Scorpio and Cancer kind of trying to on. So perhaps healing magic, shamanism in that sense with a water element. I mean, I don't know, but that's where your money is going to come from. And it could just mean that you're a counselor in relation to helping people through emotional issues. But
it's funny that you said that because I was talking about that. I was talking about that to myself yesterday. I was saying that if I could unlock these, because I feel like the Pluto Jupiter thing is still something I have to unlock at a deeper level, since it's not so personal. Like I feel like there's deep healing possible, like Reiki, but even more into like spell casting and you know, doing stuff like that. So I was talking about how I could
I'm sorry.
No. I'm glad you brought that up because that's exactly what I was talking about, and I had no idea that was actually the Jupiter Pluto trine. I didn't even think Pluto would, since it's an outer planet, right? Like I acknowledge Pluto, but I forgot. I didn't know it was that.
It's in your mystic. It's in your mystic rectangle. It incorporates Venus in the 12th house, but it also incorporates Neptune in your 8th. Conjunct Uranus, which also can be incorporated for astrology, right? I mean, where do you see Jupiter as? Like Jupiter as astrology or as astrology within the chart?
What do I see Jupiter as?
Yeah, like representing astrology. Do you see it as Jupiter or Uranus in the chart?
Oh, the what in astrology?
You know how some astrologers associate Jupiter with astrology and some astrologers associate Uranus with astrology?
No, I was always under the impression that it was Uranus. I'm glad you brought that up. I think it's.
I always thought it was Jupiter.
See, it would make sense. I believe it's Uranus in the sense where you know, it brings you more to the higher mind, but that's the same reason why I would think it's Jupiter too. So it's like I feel like they could be different expressions of maybe Uranus is like masters of astrology, and then Jupiter is like the encompassing astrology, and like
or like the psychological astrology of Jupiter, and like Uranus is
the far special topics that are out there. Yeah. That's interesting. I never really thought to equate Jupiter with astrology though, but I'm gonna start doing that now because it makes a lot of sense.
Traditional astrology, yeah. Traditional astrology, that's what they think Jupiter is. I mean, Uranus wasn't actually there then, right? Or wasn't discovered.
Yeah.
So way back when, they thought Jupiter was astrology. So yeah, that's my question.
Awesome.
For you.
My question for you is, how do you deal with, it's similar to what I asked in the last peace talk. How do you deal with negative energies instead of more spiritually? For you personally, how realistically, because you sense energies, especially with the 8th house. So how do you shut it down? How do you banish those, and how do you heal it within others if you're called to do so?
I'm not sure how I do it in others, but I know I do heal. I do distance healing, or calming people down. But I definitely, how do I calm myself? I think only this year did I learn how to do that with 6 planets and Pisces, all aspecting my water signs. But I don't find sage works. I find Palo Santo works, and for me, you know, it's really Kundalini yoga. Time alone. Palo Santo I use every morning and every night now because it clears other people's energy from me. You know. Selenite, I know you were holding selenite the other day. I absolutely love that stone. Yeah, yay. So it does help, you know. Yeah, it's great to never actually have to clear it, you know. So it's excellent.
I'm
Um,
crystal.
huh?
I'm very crystal illiterate. Like I didn't realize how powerful they were until I ever have them. I need to get me a crystal book and learn again.
Yeah, you should. I have a ton of crystals. I even like there's like four that I carry with me every day and everywhere I go. I don't
Oh
think I'm
wow.
without them because now I feel like after the beginning of this year, I'm like, okay, protect myself out there. You know,
Nice.
I know. But I mean,
Crystal.
they're pleasant ones. I mean, I did go through the Snowflake Obsidian is a really, I mean, I've been carrying that forever, but it was quite the breakdown when I started using it. Like, it was just like, wow. Every aspect, I think that's what the Pluto transit right now with Mars actually is. It's like, you know, Snowflake Obsidian, which is like showing you every aspect of yourself and like having to realize that you don't really have a will towards your divine path, towards your higher calling. It's like already written for you, and it's you have to walk it. You have
Wow.
to make it a reality, you know.
Yeah.
So whether
That's
you know, I have no idea if the world's you know going to war here or anything, but you know, I don't.
nonetheless very
You,
nonetheless it's very interesting.
huh? Yeah. But I think that's basically what's happening right now, right? So stones, yeah, definitely we need to carry them around. So Palo Santo is the big one for me for clearing energy for me. But I don't think there's ever a way to kind of block it and never a instant thing. I think it's always going to be something I'm going to have to deal with.
Mm.
You know?
Okay. Not necessarily bad either. Sweet.
Huh?
No, I said that's not necessarily bad either, too. So as long as you're moderated, I feel you. That definitely works.
Well, I mean, just talk to yourself. You don't have to sit there and like, and you know, pick up on people's energy. But definitely, I mean, I remember being in class when I was young, and the walls are white in the classroom, and then seeing like teachers' auras and things like that, just because you're kind of like, and you're seeing this, you know, and I'm thinking, wow, okay, you know, what am I seeing there? So I went and investigated that. And that I went to, there were, you know, a couple of friends, not even a few, a couple of friends that were into past lives and understanding that, and auras and psychic phenomenon in astrology. So that was good. They didn't think I was crazy then.
Shoot.
You know,
All right.
are we still live?
Yeah, we're still live. So we got two more questions. So it's your turn again.
Do you do anything for spiritual development right now? Do you do yoga? You said you use crystals. Is there anything else that whether people like developing their spirituality or like something that's worked for you? Words like, you know, understanding self or the occult or spirituality more.
With Uranus transiting my 12th, I'm called very deeply into just very random, unconventional uh, acts that test my faith. So what I've set out to do, the universe, my spirit guides, they've let me know through advice and just through common sense what I do, what I should do, which is, you know, exercising, meditation, uh daily affirmation. I feel like if I just do those three and then simple Reiki, you know, channeling universal energy through my body, those four done regularly will change my life. I just don't do it. I just don't do it. Like that's the big
Well,
issue. Like
you.
I'll do it.
I'm learning Reiki on the 5th of teaching someone how to use tuning forks because I studied that, and then they're teaching me how to do Reiki
The
on the
whole
5th of November.
course?
I think so. Maybe just the first one. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't even know what it consists of, to be honest. My aunt's a natural healer.
Nice.
So I think it's just a matter of me honing in,
Yeah, no,
and
definitely.
you're definitely a natural healer. So perhaps we only need to do the first course.
Oh, you're right. That's true. That's a good way to
Yeah.
look at it. Yeah. Other than that, really, I've been dabbling in more. I've been randomly. This is more the Uranus, like having me test faith. Like I'll dabble in spell crafting. I've been drawn more to testing the infinite field of potentiality and saying, writing down this is what I want to manifest and watching it happen within a certain time period. That's where I currently am right now. Like doing exercises that help me build a stronger faith in the universe, which has been pretty fun so far. I've realized that I try to control way too much and I could gain so much by letting go and literally trusting in the universe. I've been in situations so far where I'm like, this is what I need. I need it by this time. I'm letting it go, and it happens, and everything works out the way it is. And the only time that it doesn't work out is when I try and control it and try and make things work my way. So it's a little lesson of humility.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
That's a good way of looking at it. Well, the thing is, I don't think I've ever perfected manifestation. That's for sure. But I do. I don't know if I'm supposed to either. I mean, I think my kind of goal here is just to kind of, or my divine path or whatever, is to actually have faith in whatever.
Yeah, that's a huge
spirit or God. I've lost faith before.
Yeah.
To the point where it was like, okay, I have to relearn and re-understand that aspect of life,
Is that what Saturn's teaching you?
Huh?
Is that what Saturn taught you or is teaching you too?
I think Saturn has always taught me that. Loss is very obvious in my life, Yeah. But so is finally being, after that, finally through all those lessons, finally understanding, oh, that's why it happened, And I think I'm actually at this stage in my life only getting there now. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if I, second Saturn return will bring,
Which leads me to my second question. Okay. What superpower would you focus on and have if you could have any superpower?
Superpower. Does it have to be like a traditional superpower?
Nope. It could be anything that's just supernatural in nature.
What would I wish for?
That if you can make happen.
I mean, I have no idea, but I could make happen.
Yeah, let's say
I think I already have a superpower, though.
What?
I think I already have a superpower.
No, yeah, so you definitely do. But I mean, I meant to say what super, if you could crystallize and master it, what if you could if you could take your superpower and make it into a superpower, you know what I mean? How would it look like when it's mastered? That's what I meant to ask you. In fact, let me change the question. What I meant to ask is, what is your superpower? What is it when it's working at its most super level, and what does it entail?
I believe, and maybe that has to do with manifestation, I don't know, but I always think it relates to spirit, but I definitely believe I am connected to the other side, and I don't know if I actually manifest things, which I don't think I do, but I believe I'm in tune. My superpower is I'm in tune so much that I can actually make it look like that.
A little bit. I mean, I would think I could see what you mean by how you can make it look like it, but I
Well,
would
okay, an
think
example,
you're the
my boyfriend and my ex-boyfriend and I were driving home one morning, and this guy never believed anything with relation to psychic abilities or anything, right? But he would continually ask me to prove it, and I was like so tired of just having to prove who I am, you know?
Yeah.
I looked at him, I'm like, because we were driving home, it was raining, and he's like, and I'm like, what will it take for you to believe me that I can do things and that I can see things before they happen? What, you know, what will it prove? He's like, make it stop raining. As soon as we parked the car, birds were singing, it stopped raining, there was a rainbow, and I just love that, to be honest. He still like, oh, that was just by chance, that was just by luck, you know? But I think there is something to it. But I don't know if I have a superpower. I think that, again, it's connected with spirit somehow. Like, I was outside yesterday, I took a photo of this on angel in the photo I posted. You know, I was working inside this summer and I heard a voice say, go outside, went outside to see a double rainbow. Like, I think my superpower is that I'm very connected to the spirit realm. You know? Yeah. And I think timing, yeah, perhaps I didn't have a superpower to make it stop raining and have a rainbow, but that, I love the spirits for doing that. I'm glad that was like what he saw, you know? Yeah.
Definitely. So,
yeah.
That's cool. Deeper connection with spirit and timing. I definitely resonate.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so we each have one more question now.
Okay.
Yay.
I don't know what to ask. I think I've asked you all the questions that I wrote down. Let me look at your chart. What has been the worst transit that you've gone through?
The what?
That was the worst transit that you've been through.
Oh my God. I think I might have to look back at my past, but the worst.
Yeah, that's going really well.
I want to say the worst transit I probably went through was I didn't really like that Saturn and Libra transit. I was very lost during that time, but I wouldn't consider it the worst transit ever. I can't answer this question because I've never really looked at a time and been like, oh my gosh, like this is the worst like period of my life.
You look at things to prepare for them going forward, right? So
yeah, that's true.
The Saturn and Libra. Saturn is not in Libra though.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And during that time, Saturn and Libra, a little bit beginning Saturn and Scorpio, during that time was ironically my awakening. This is when Jupiter was in Taurus and Gemini and Cancer. And that's why I didn't hate the transit, because I was going through one of the best transits at the same time. But yeah. So I mean, it just kind of, I don't know why I feel it was the Saturn in Libra that kind of influenced the events that occurred to me during those years. I mean, whatever bad happened was because of how I decided, but I don't know why my intuition is just like Saturn in Libra. I know it's the 6th. Oh, all right. I can answer in the sense where this was when it was going through my 6th house, and this was Saturn in Scorpio, Saturn in Libra. I didn't like it because it showed me how shitty my lifestyle is and how I have to change it like a whole lot and really like meditate and exercise and do Reiki that I won't do. So it's like,
yeah, but you don't have to. Oh my God, you're gonna be. Yeah, well, you can take one course and then you're just a Reiki master for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? I don't think you have to, you know? I think for you though, even down to the fact that your part of fortune is in the 6th house Libra.
Yeah.
So obviously it wasn't like the first transit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
what did you say about the Pars of Fortune? It's in the 6th house.
it's in the 6th house for you. It's in Libra. So perhaps, yeah. The thing is, you know, people naturally start doing things when they're coupled up, and then they, you know, they do whatever. So I don't think that's an issue for you. It's your 6th house up. So your health and everything, you know, should be taken care of for you.
Oh, so I don't have to be so hard on myself and I can be more lazy like I want to be?
Well, I don't think you should be, okay, well, be whatever you want, but I'm just saying whatever relationship you get into, that individual will naturally guide you in whatever direction, you know?
Okay. Well, that's true. That's definitely true.
Yeah.
My question for you is my favorite question. What are your 3 favorite zodiac signs, and what 3 zodiac signs give you the most challenge?
The ones I love the most are, I don't know, I think I like all of them.
Yeah,
Now,
it's really.
there are some, you know, it is difficult to say that because I have family members of almost every sun sign, you know? I have friends and family members of almost every sun sign.
Yeah.
I can say who I dated and who I haven't with guys, because I find that there's always a difference between the male sign and the female sign.
Yeah.
So it's always like Scorpios, I'm not a fan of someone's sun in my 12th house. You know, I'm really not. So no Scorpios for me that have their sun in my 12th house. You know, I find Virgos. I mean, I can go through a lot of signs. Virgos. I don't know why I have this observation, but a lot of the female friend Virgos that I've had have dealt with a lot of past life stuff with me, which I find really fascinating because my South Node is Pisces, my North Node is Virgo, so you'd think it'd be the opposite, but perhaps it's that opposite frequency, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I remember Virgos I've always discussed past life stuff with. It's so bizarre, you know? So I like Virgos. I guess just those two that I find. I dated a Capricorn I really didn't like, so I don't think I'd have Capricorn sun again, you know? Yeah, you live, you learn.
How about also like energies too? Like you could add in maybe Mercury in this sign that you like, or you hate Venus in this sign, or you hate it in the house.
I don't have any particular. Well, that's the thing. Like when I'm analyzing someone's chart or going through those details, it's always through aspects, through where they're positioned, through composite charts. It's not just like what sign they're in, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, I could have like a whole 2-hour conversation about, you know, why I like certain aspects and, you know, that sort of thing. But I don't know. I mean, I do love people with Venus and Pisces. Pisces are my favorite people out there. Great. My uncle's a Pisces, you know.
Yeah.
My dad was a Gemini. My entire side of my dad's family are Geminis, which I find, I didn't even know that until like 3 years ago. When I was
the entire family is
my grandmother, my uncle, his cousin, you know. My aunt Teresa, my cousin Teresa is actually a Scorpio, but she behaves like a Gemini. You know, she's just like forced to without the Geminis around her growing up. But they're all Geminis.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting that my 7th house cusp is Gemini and they all are in there, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting.
And then my mom has Venus conjunct Jupiter in her, conjunct her North Node, or not her North Node, but her MC in Gemini.
Hmm.
Too. I mean, we're just like, you know, Gemini. No.
Okay.
What else? Well, my mom's an Aries, so I don't know. I mean, I love Aries women,
Yeah.
but I mean, I've had a lot of friends that are Aries. You know, I tend to kind of like, I don't know. I think I adapt to people quite well, but I feel like if there's a continual negative, if people are continually kind of like invading my privacy over and over and over again, then I have to put up a barrier, and then I get upset about that I can't care for them. That's where the line is like drawn, where I feel upset that I can no longer be kind or care for people. You know? So if that's what, you know, happens, then that's when I don't like the sign anymore. You know?
Yeah, understandably too. It just kind of turns you on.
Yeah, it does. To the point though, I mean, you give people so many chances that when it's like you have to draw that line, it's like, oh shit, I'm never looking at that sign again. You know, you just can't do it. You don't even want to like analyze what planets are different, what ascendant's different, what moon sign. Just like, or like, no Capricorn, no Scorpio. Thank you.
Get your manipulative, controlling asses around me. Go away.
We hate you. Go. No. It's funny.
Oh goodness. Well, to wrap up, do you have any last word of advice for any aspiring people interested in spirituality? And also, I have your YouTube channel in the description link below, but how can people contact you for readings or to talk to you?
They can go to my website, which is larisa.maira.weebly.com. And, you know, you can purchase a report there. For anyone who's aspiring or going through the circle of actually people thinking that they're nuts or crazy because they actually do have superpowers and do have more awareness or more sensitive than other individuals. So, you know, you can write me on YouTube anytime you want. You can write me an email anytime you want. And you can, you know, join groups where people are like-minded. And yeah, it's a struggle for everybody right now. It's like people who've been so closed off to spirituality are being forced to kind of awaken and see that there is actual some truth in that. And it's not even just spirituality. It's like across the board. It's with like understanding everything. Every subject matter is being exposed right now, you know?
Yes.
So I think, you know, whether, I mean, I come from a family that doesn't really sit around and discuss spirituality. I mean, my grandmother was very psychic, but I think like your grandmother wasn't like openly like discuss like this is how to do distant healing, or she actually had visions and was able to actually see the bodies of her dead mothers and wrote a letter to her mother to tell them where they were so they could have a proper burial during the war. You know,
Wow.
so I never really sat down and had a conversation with her about that, but these are stories that have been passed down, you know, so I don't know where I was going with that, but, you know, I guess, yeah, so really, if you want to talk to me after that, then you'll be able to reach me on YouTube, which is Larisa Maira, Instagram, Twitter, I'm on Facebook as well, and my website.
All right. Thank you very much once again for joining me. Thank you, everyone watching, for tuning in. And until next episode, y'all, peace.